but we didn't have a funding source for the last half of the equipment replacement. So we decided to go start working on some grants. And so I was swapping phone calls with Al, who was working for us as our lobbyist at that time. And we hadn't really made the connection yet, but I wanted to get him working on this project with us because of his contacts and his adeptness of doing that. But then I had heard that Al was sick and hadn't been doing well, so I kind of I quit pursuing our swapping phone calls and our line there, and didn't make a connection for a few months, a couple months. But one day I was leaving Anchorage, going out on the airport, and I was walking down the concourse, and here comes Al up the concourse. He had actually been up here attending the meetings, and he came over, and you know, he obviously wasn't in as good a health as he always had been. He was a little bit thin, but he looked good, and as Al, always upbeat, and he was very upbeat, and said, "Oh, Paul, you know, I've been trying to get a hold of you. How's it going? I heard you want to work on a project. What are you working on?" So I talked to him about the project, and he said, yeah, I'll get after it. I haven't been feeling good. I haven't really been able to do some things that I wanted to get done, but we'll get working on it. And so, great. You know, I said, well, we're looking at Rasmussen Foundation and maybe Murdoch, and he said, yeah, you know, I'll talk to Diane Kaplan, my old buddy at Rasmussen. So that was the end of that conversation, and we exchanged some white papers and things on the project. And then a little while later, of course, Al got sick and passed away. And so that was sad. You know, I'm sure he had better friends than I. I felt like he was a friend. He was that kind of a person in terms of always interested in you and knew us, and we spent some time together. And so so that was a sad time. But then the rest of the story came at Al's funeral. And at Al's funeral, I think it was Sarah was addressing the group and talking about Al's last days there in the hospital. And she said, I think the day before Al passed away, Diane Kaplan, his friend from Rasmussen, stopped by to see him at the hospital. And while she was there, Al said to Diane, he said, "Oh, there's one last thing, you know. We really need to replace the mammography machine at Manila. We really need your help on this." So Diane told him she would help. And then the next day he passed away. And so excuse me, I always get a little choked up about that story, because it's really uncommon commitment, you know, to the people of the region, and trying to serve and make life better for people. And so that's what I always think, you know, when I think of him and this project. So I think it's really fitting that we dedicate it to this. Diane Kaplan ended up being sort of a champion for this project. She got, when she got involved with it, she said, let's not just do a 2D, let's do a 3D. I'll get Murdoch involved with it. She also drew the state of Alaska, and we had a request, but she worked with them, and she really went after it and pursued it. So I really want to acknowledge her and the Rasmussen Foundation for their financial contribution. Jan Kennedy from the Murdoch Foundation worked with us and gave us substantial funding. State of Alaska, so Donnie Olson and Ben Nagyak, they gave us a $100,000 grant, a state grant, all contributions to make it happen. And then, of course, the Manila Board of Directors, we provided the matching money. And so thanks to all those folks who funded it financially and spirit. it was kind of a big project, and so a lot of staff were involved. Kristen Smith did a lot of work on it, getting presentations together for all these foundations, and working with us over and over again when we'd say, oh, you know, one more thing, change that, and what about this? So I really appreciate her persistence, and Anthony Cavallo, of course, was a real champion of the effort to get it funded. Matt Tecker did a heck of a lot of work, you know, 4 major pieces of equipment, and every time we'd say, what are we going to get? Everybody would look at Matt and say, Matt, get the spec. Can you get specs on this? What about this? What about this? So thank you, Matt. A lot of effort, I know, and all the way through the installation. Of course, Matt was involved. The guys and women in radiology, James Stone Road, he's out of town. He's on personal leave today, so he can't be here. Cassandra is our mammographer. Philip, one of our radiology techs. Justin Courteau is also out of town, and Dr. McGee is our radiologist. He's down in Hawaii. So, yeah. Dr. McGee. There's a whole bunch of other folks. Of course, Ian Ehrlich, Rob O'Tone, Renee Scales, all really supported the project all the way through, a long-term project, and took a lot of time and commitment to get that punched through. Tina Hensley, Lucy Nelson, Bree Swanson, all contributed to site visits and things. And of course, maintenance did a lot of work on the renovations. So a lot of people were involved over the time period to make it all happen. And of course, again, I come back to the number one guy, and the guy that we're dedicating the equipment to, Senator Al Adams, and late senator, and want to again express my appreciation for all the work that he did, and recognition also. So with that, I'll